My name is Taya Graham. This is my co-host, Stephen Janis, and welcome to this breaking news edition of the Police Accountability Report. We are here to present you with some shocking video of an arrest in Shawnee, Oklahoma. It depicts an encounter between a Shawnee, Oklahoma police officer and a grandmother walking down a public road with her grandson and a dog. But what happens when the officer approaches her and what he says when he's caught on the cell phone camera is what we'll be unpacking for you today. It's an arrest that shows, not tells us, that police power is both easy to abuse and destructive when it's misapplied. And it also raises questions about if the police who enforce the law truly understand it themselves. The story starts in October of 2023 when Janine R. was out walking with her grandson and her dog. They're simply walking down a street enjoying their day when a police officer suddenly gets out of his car. Just watch.
Am I under arrest?
You were being stopped for walking down the wrong side of the road when there's a sidewalk available, just like I explained to you.
But we just got here.
What?
We just got here
Would
to
you
the
walk down
sidewalk.
I'm going to tell you one more time.
Sir,
Would you like to
I
give
know
me
my
your
rights,
name?
sir.
So, Stephen, you can see from the very beginning, the officer raises the specter of an arrest. Can you tell me what we're seeing here?
Well, it's really hard to understand what we're seeing here because she clearly is just walking along the street. She's not doing anything. She's no public threat. She hasn't committed violence, anything. It's very, very difficult to understand why the police officer starts out so aggressive.
So the cop continues to threaten Janine, and understandably, she pushes back. Just watch.
Sir,
Would you like to
I
give
know
me
my
your
rights,
name?
sir.
Sure.
I would like your supervisor, please.
Sure, you can. After you give me your
No,
name.
sir.
Okay, come here. Come here. Put your phone there.
Go get Papa.
There you go.
So, Stephen, I heard that the police officer said that she was committing a crime by not using a sidewalk in Oklahoma. What do you know about this law?
Well, that law is really just meant to prevent people from blocking traffic. You know, really a very simple kind of jaywalking law, not something that's supposed to be enforced in neighborhoods where clearly there's no traffic, clearly there's no way to obstruct traffic. So it seems kind of a misapplication of that law.
So next, the officer said something that I find really troubling. He threatened her with more than arrest. He threatened her with violence. Just listen.
Hey,
Drop it. Hey, none of that has to go. If you
Sir?
do anything like that, I'm going to put you on
Sir?
your ass. You understand me?
sir, I've already had this with the shiny tops, and
Okay.
all right.
Stephen, this is sort of shocking to me. I mean, at least from the video, it seems like she's minding her own business. Why is he being so aggressive?
Well, at this point in the video, there seems to be no justification for the officer, ratcheting up this encounter or escalating this encounter. She hasn't really done anything except question the officer's right to arrest her or the question the officer for his probable cause and why he wants to arrest her. So really, at this point, all of it's kind of inexplicable.
So, Stephen, first he mentions her not showing her ID, and then he mentions obstruction. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you think this is obstruction in terms of a roadway or another form of obstruction?
Well, it's weird because at first it seems like it might be because of the roadway, but then when he talks about her not giving ID, oftentimes police will say if you don't give ID when they're investigating a crime, it's obstruction. So to me, it's very confusing, and I think that's a really bad thing when you're having an encounter with police you're worried about, to be confused about what type of law you're applying, and it's very unclear, and I think maybe in some sense he's confused.
So, Stephen, to me, it seems pretty clear that you're not supposed to be able to be arrested for not providing ID if you're a pedestrian. Now, is Oklahoma a stop and ID state?
No, it is not. And like most states, it shouldn't be. I mean, if you're walking on a public road, you should not have to ID yourself. That's unconstitutional. Obviously, if you're in a motor vehicle, that's different. But in this case, there's no underlying crime. I don't think there's anything to justify saying you have to give your ID. She's in a public place. The Constitution protects that. So absolutely not.
So now, even though the officer has completely changed his justification, he moves to take her phone away, to take away her right to record.
I'll tell you one more time.
Sir,
Would you like to
I
give
know
me
my
your
rights,
name?
sir.
Sure.
I would like your supervisor, please.
Sure, you can. After you give me your
No,
name.
sir.
Okay, come here. Come here. Put your phone there.
Go get Papa.
There you go. What's in your hand?
Hey,
Drop it. Hey, none of that has to go. If you
Sir?
do anything like that, I'm going to put you
Sir?
on your ass. You understand me?
sir, I've already had this with the shiny tops, and
Okay.
all right.
You're going to get obstruction?
For walking down the road?
No, for not identifying yourself.
For what, though? I wasn't doing nothing wrong.
I told you what you was doing. Come here.
No.
Get in here.
He's arresting me for
Get in the
walking.
car. No, you're being arrested because... There you go. Do what? For obstruction.
mean, Stephen, when you're watching this, when you're seeing this grandmother be threatened with obstruction, with failure to ID for not walking on a sidewalk, and then you see him interfere with her First Amendment right to record, I mean, what is going through your mind when you're seeing this?
Well, as we're watching it right now, I think what I'm seeing is an abuse of police power that should scare us all. This is something we talked about continuing on the show, that police power, when abused, is an incredibly intense and incredibly dramatic power that can really ruin someone's life. And I see here a person who was walking along peacefully, not doing anything. Why is this police officer interfering in her life like this? It's kind of shocking.
So, Stephen, I was just struck by how quickly all of this unfolds. I mean, what do you think when you've seen this kind of aggressive policing? I mean, it's honestly shocking.
It's something we call in police reporting called rapid escalation, where police seem to, for some reason, inexplicably either feel that their power is challenged or hegemony is challenged, and they have to rapidly escalate a situation that really doesn't warrant it. So, yeah, it seems to me a classic case of rapid escalation.
I mean, I just find this so problematic because, as we said, this is a grandmother walking with her grandson and her dog. It seems that this sort of aggressive policing was beyond unnecessary. So we did reach out to Janine. Not only was she arrested, not only was she taken to jail and forced to pay bond, but now she has to hire a lawyer, which, as you know, can cost thousands of dollars to represent her in court. And understandably, she is fearful of retaliation. So now I'm going to give you what we call the anatomy of a bad arrest to show you how every arrest is consequential and how it can wreak havoc in the lives of innocent people. So first, as you can see, we have a grandmother walking her dog with her grandson. Is she committing a crime, an act of violence? Is there any evidence that she is a danger to the community? Well, I think not. And now the officer approaches and is immediately confrontational. At first, accuses her of not using the sidewalk, and then not IDing herself, and then of obstruction. He also threatens to take her to the ground.
Am I under arrest?
You were being stopped for walking down the wrong side of the road when there's a sidewalk available, just like I explained to you.
But we just got here.
What?
We just got here
Would
to
you
the
walk down
sidewalk.
I'm going to tell you one more time.
Sir,
Would you like to
I
give
know
me
my
your
rights,
name?
sir.
Sure.
I would like your supervisor, please.
Sure, you can. After you give me your
No,
name.
sir.
Okay, come here. Come here. Put your phone there.
And finally, he arrests her again for obstructing, although he uses the word obstruction, which could mean her refusal to ID. Either way, the consequences for Janine are devastating, not just money and trauma, but her mental health. And as she told me, she's actually afraid to go outside. She mentioned to me that her grandson has been traumatized and will barely leave her side. And she also is afraid to file a complaint against the police department. She is, put simply, afraid to do anything. And for me, this type of arrest typifies an issue that we've discussed frequently on this show, and that is bad policing is a means to diminishing the political efficacy, the sense of agency, and even the psychology of a person's right to move about freely. Bad arrests like this don't just diminish our rights, they diminish us as people. And I think to a certain extent that is purposeful. I mean, how else can you explain what we are watching on the screen right now? And how else can anyone justify such a questionable use of power? Now, Stephen, you've reached out to Shawnee Police. How have they justified this arrest?
Well, I called the number that they have for public information, and they didn't call me back. And well, at first they didn't call me back, and there was no answering machine. But then I just got a call. We're recording this, so I'm going to call them back when we're done, and then we will update in a short, or we'll update during the live stream and let people know, what's going on. So
Excellent.
They did call me back.
Okay, hopefully we're going to have an update. We're going to do our best to follow up on this case, and Stephen's going to call the police department back. And of course, if we have any information for you, we're going to update you in the live chat. My name is Taya Graham. This is Stephen Janis. We are the Police Accountability Report. And if you have evidence of police misconduct or brutality, please share it with us at par@therealnews.com. We might be able to investigate for you. And of course, you can always reach out to me directly at Taya's Baltimore on Twitter or Facebook. And as always, please be safe out there.
Thank you so much for watching The Real News Network, where we lift up the voices, stories, and struggles that you care about most. And we need your help to keep doing this work. So please tap your screen now, subscribe, and donate to The Real News Network. Solidarity forever.